Then, okay. This has to be like this. This is going up here. And you know, Tara has said, you know, that it was about being paid attention to, and this whole thing with Linda. And that fucking thing is. Yeah. Nope. Right here like this. My buddy sitting here like that. Okay. Looks like it's okay. So how
Hash that bowl.
do it? Here we go. Description.
Oh, my hash is in the car.
Word.
Should I go grab it?
Might as well. I can wait.
Alright, go.
I ain't scared. Okay. Sweet. Alright. What's going on here? Sounds like Citrus ran into a wall. Alright. Fucking topics? Any topic ideas? Let's make this look better. That's kind of distracting. I'll hang down there like that. That's, you know, biggity boom. Okay. Dope. Is that DJ Mike? Oh shit! Yeah. Stream health. Tube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What does that mean? Video output is low. I'm like right here. How do I fix it? Okay. Public. Advanced. What happened? What happened? YouTube, what are you doing?
Is bad, you said?
Yeah. It's a poor line. Oh, we're back.
Cool.
I think. I'm trying to be back.
Like the Terminator.
I hung out with these Indian dudes for a while last night.
Nice.
Like from Bangalore, India.
So you had like, oh, that type of Indian. I was
Yeah.
about to say you had a legit Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, dude. You're like, dude, thanks for the sacrifice your crazy Pakistani people made, man. Like, you know, just like letting themselves be slaughtered by a bunch of strangers and, you know, hey, harvest the corn and kill us. That was cool of you guys.
That was
Thanks.
super nice of you.
Yeah, without you guys, we wouldn't be here like right now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
You guys still working on them beans? What beans? What? Oh yeah.
Got another 4 pounds going right now.
Dude, yeah. All right, we ate the first third of them. We were supposed to take another third of the beans to a Thanksgiving thing we did on Monday, but we forgot. Well, it's not that we forgot. I was stuck in traffic and was like, dude, fuck it. I'm not going to drive all the way back and get them. It wasn't worth it. So, yeah, I started eating those that second today. But the last third, sitting in the freezer, waiting, and it'll be pretty bomb. It's really good, dude. I had it today with some smoked turkey from yesterday. Fuck, bro. How was your Thanksgiving?
Amazing.
Yeah?
It was really good, man. Fucking. So, at this point, I've had Thanksgivings with family and without family. And when I was younger, I definitely didn't give as many fucks. I was like, I just want to get. Like, we had Thanksgiving back in the day where all the food was edibles and shit, and we would just get as obliterated as we possibly could while eating a bunch of food. That's a lot of fun. But I don't think anything tops being with family, man. Like, what it really comes down to. There's one Christmas where I didn't really have anybody to spend it with except for this other guy I should not have been hanging out with. And we did like acid together.
Whoa.
Just like didn't want to be alone on Christmas. And my siblings called, and that's when I realized, like, fuck, I don't ever want to be away from family on Christmas ever again. Like, you know, it's you learn to cherish it when you don't have it.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that. My uncle, his dream as a kid was to be a trucker. And he did it for a while. He loved it. But he said ultimately the thing that made him quit was spending the holidays away from home. So, you know, it sucks being on the road for 3 months at a time as it is. But when that 3 months at a time lands on Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, you're like, I'd rather stay in town. And I get it. You know, on that note, if my kids or wife are watching this, I miss you guys. You know,
Yeah.
Thankful for you guys.
Totally. It's something about the fact that everybody at the same time is doing family shit. Like, the entire country is taking time out of their schedule to come together and celebrate family, that it, like, makes it more important. You feel like, all right, I should probably do that too. Like, you don't want to be left out of that shit.
Yeah, definitely. Because, well, I mean, how miserable do people look when you see them, you know, on the side of the road? But then again, on that note, miserable, it's interesting. If you want to meet some, like, foreign people, go hang out at a metropolitan area on Thanksgiving. Like, that's, you know, you're not going to run into Americans like us, except the really depressed ones, and you're like, oh, man, let's not hang out with them. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm trying to give thanks, brother. And, like, you're bringing me down.
You're bringing me down.
I'm sorry.
I got no thanks for this.
Yeah, no, but I'll deal with that on the other days. Today, it's about me. No, you like it anyway. Yeah, it was good to hang out with family. And you don't miss them. They miss you on Thanksgiving also if you're not there. You know, expecting one of my uncles to be hanging out with us, but instead he was nursing some surgery. You know, just a little bit of heart surgery. Got a little stint put in there. You know? Just kidding. He's doing well, but you know, finding out that everybody, or you know, people change their plans, you know, to accommodate, and it just makes you acutely aware of how precious our time is and how precious we are to each other, and
Absolutely.
you know, shit like that.
Absolutely. So, something that I wanted to bring up in this podcast was the subject of the many different types of love. As I've been realizing, like, unconditional love is a pretty drastic term. I don't think many of us actually have it. And if there's anything that is truly conditional, it is romantic love. Like, I don't think you can have romantic love without conditions. You have to... It's like, I want you to love me back in order for me to love you, and also you have to not piss me off too many times in order for me to keep loving you. You know what I mean?
Right, and that too many times is subjective because there are certain things that a singular piss off is
Right.
the end.
Yeah, you could cut the wrong cord.
Okay.
But unconditional love would be like, I know that we don't work well, but I love you anyways. I hope you do well. And you don't have to be in a relationship to give love to that person.
Okay, all right. So, I agree. What's the question? What do you?
I don't really have a question. I'm just
right?
bringing
Like,
up. I'm just bringing up the topic because love is such a big word. It's almost it's a word that Disney and Hollywood has definitely turned into this horrible inflatable giant in order to try to sell their own products, and it almost has like this false image attached to it. And true, like, unconditional love is like the most amazing feeling that any human can experience, and there's
okay.
something going on there, you know.
So, can romantic love evolve into unconditional love?
I think so.
I think it grows. I think, yeah, I agree.
Okay. One of my exes told me that she unconditionally loves me, and this is after many years of us being separated, and we're still friends, and I realized she's right. Like, well, here's the thing, is I know that there are some conditions to that experience, that relationship. I could definitely say something and our friendship would be fucking over, you know? Like, I could do some stupid shit, and there's a condition, but she'll still love me even if she chooses to cut me out of her life. That's the unconditional part.
Okay. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so love can be conditional, and you're saying that more often than not it is conditional, but you're also saying that love can be unconditional even when there is conditions within the relationship. So, like,
right, it's like you have to choose to love that person unconditionally, and you kind of make that choice every moment.
Okay, so like in the sense of exes, if you know, one of them say had a drug problem and put the other one through the ringer, and you know that's why person B leaves the situation, and person A is always like, oh, I could have worked out, and I've always loved you, and person B is like, yeah, I've always loved you too, but you're a fucking druggie, and that's it. I've wanted to have a husband and kids or whatever, a wife and kids, whatever, but I can't because of what you're doing. But I want you to be happy. And you're right, right? Is that...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
But also at the same time, I would even say familial love is conditional. There's, I think, in some aspects anyway. I mean, I can't imagine if I just wigged out and murdered somebody at work, just, oh, what, you don't like the way I mop this floor? Kill some guy and end up doing time. I don't think my parents are going to come visit me. You know? Right? But if I'm, you know, at a bar or something and some dude attacks me and is like choking me out, it's like mistaken identity, he thinks I'm like Chapo Guzman or something. He's like, and I like reach up and crack him over the head and he dies, and 6 years manslaughter. You know, I'm not a murderer. I'm sure my parents would still come visit me in jail or write me letters or something, right?
Right. Well, I mean, let's say that you murdered somebody and your family chooses to not come visit you because of that. If they're constantly talking about you and thinking about you, even if it's negative, doesn't that mean they love you in some way?
and they're just disappointed, maybe, and they're just trying to find the healing and the therapeutic discussion.
Yeah, can you be disappointed in someone and still unconditionally love them?
So my uncle, my late uncle, Carlitos they called him, spent, I think it was like 40 years or 30 years in prison. He was, out a couple of times, but did long stints. He was a heroin addict. And for a long time that he was in prison, my grandmother didn't speak to him, from what I understand. And at one point, towards the end of the rest of his time there, he was really sick from. He had to get staples put in his back. He had to get this ridiculous surgery where they could clean out his spine and restabilize it. And they were actually worried he wouldn't make it through the surgery. So he reached out to my grandma. And I don't know what the crux of that conversation was, but she ended up deciding and agreeing to go see him before the surgery and then after the surgery, and started, like, I guess, communicating again. And then shortly thereafter, a few years later, he gets out of jail, and they have a closer relationship now. And a few years after that, he passes away. Now this is all, she's telling all this to my mom, who is struggling to decide if she's going to continue putting up with my sister's craziness, right? And my grandma was basically saying ignoring my son in prison for nearly 30 years was the worst decision I ever made.
Wow.
That's her kid, man.
Yeah,
totally. That's her boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and something I believe in is that they're not murderers and rapists and people that have this title laid over their entire being. They're people who have raped and have murdered. And, it's important to be realistic about it. But at the same time, like, he's a son too.
Yeah, he somebody's uncle, or I mean, I shouldn't have said that. That makes it sound like I'm all beat up that I never met the guy. But I don't know. Maybe he was a really cool dude. I don't know. But
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, somebody cares about him.
For sure. Right? So, Mike's interacting with us.
And the turkey equals. Yeah, dude. I'm guessing Flexerol and what's the part of turkey?
Tryptamine.
Tryptamine, yeah. Tryptamine and Flexerol. Good night.
Tryptamine. I always thought that name was like, so this turkey's laced with LSD? Is that what you're telling me?
Right. Tryptamine. Right. So yeah, you're saying parents' love is unconditional, be it humans or pets. All else is conditional love, even between a mother and a father. Yeah, I agree with that. And a lot of parents don't love their kids, though, which I think is really odd. And that's weird to me, too. But then, you stop and think about, like, you watch a good nature show, right? And, sometimes some crazy shit happens and they, like, end up eating a kid or something, or letting the kids eat one of the kids. I mean...
Yeah, man, I don't know. As I talk and I think about it, the unconditional love sounds like something far beyond us and something that's actually happening whether we want to do it or not, Like I was saying earlier with your parents thinking about you even if they were, like, hated you. Even if they were like, this motherfucker, I can't believe he did this shit. They're only so mad because they love you so much. So in a way, they're still loving you beyond the conditions. But at the same time, there's, like, the verb of loving. So I feel like the definition of love is really broad. It's hard to even pinpoint exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about it. I know that our first idea of love is our parents, like, cradling us as a baby. I think that's why we like snuggling as adults. Your mom's just holding you, saying,
so warm,
you,
the heartbeat and the breathing.
Yeah, those cute little voices and tones she uses at you, and singing and saying nice things to you.
I was like, hold on, Mom. Come on, come on, dude. The guys on the streets are gonna hear that you're talking to me like this. She was like, you fucking piece of shit. Toughest fucking son of a bitch. Here's a little dirt in the face. You shake you upside.
I mean, that would be love too, though, right?
Right. If it comes from the right place, right?
Right. I want to make this baby tough as fuck. I'm trying to win some cage fight bets. Jonathan's gonna do that for me.
That's awesome. I didn't get a playpen for nothing. There's a little baby prison. Here. There's only one spinach flavored baby food. Who's gonna get it? Hitting each other with rattles, throwing matchbox cars at somebody's head.
Gotta start them young. This way I don't have to wear protection.
And so yeah, okay. So as I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering, what would my kids be able to do to push me away forever? And I can't imagine anything, outside of, finding out this one of them's a rapist or a torturer, a killer, man.
Yeah.
If they Bernie Madoff somebody, the Ponzi scheme on, embezzling millions or whatever from everybody, I think it'd be pretty hard for me to come see, man. Like that's a pretty malicious thing that takes lots of planning and years of intent.
Yeah.
I could understand, a DUI that ends up in tragedy. I'm not going to just let my kids sit that one out on their own. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I'm hurt for the family. But I'm also hurt for you. You didn't mean it.
Right.
I get it. I'm hurt for me because we put a lot into you, and here's our investment.
It's a very painful thing to think that somebody just decided to get drunk, drive, and then they kill a family. That's like about as selfish as it can get. But at the same time, it's a rather human thing. Like, humans do that. They get drunk and they drive. It's really fucking dumb of us. But I feel like that makes it's malicious intent. That changes things a lot. Mm-hmm. If one of your kids was willing to say anything and everything to get children locked in his basement and he'd torture him for months on end, then it's like, I don't know, I don't have the skills it even takes to be around you and talk to you because you're probably just going to manipulate me,
Right, right, dang. But at the same time, I would want to know, like, what happened?
Right, that's your DNA.
Why'd you do this?
Yeah, right.
What did we do wrong, man? Like, not because I can go back and fix it, or not even really a pride or ego thing, but because I owe you an apology. If it was that fucking bad, holy shit.
Right.
My bad.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like, do you think killers and murderers are generally poor and in rough uprisings? Or maybe they are like in really rich families and just don't really get as much love as they're supposed to get.
Serial killers?
Yeah. Or maybe they're just born and the ticker ain't right,
I think that's more like it. I think there is a certain like development that happened in the evolution of our brains that happens in a lot of animals that they understand the power of teamwork and what it means to work together. And there are many creatures that if they fail to work together, their chances of survival are greatly diminished.
For sure.
Just as depression, right? It's a chemical imbalance. You're more likely to kill yourself. right? Which is a non-evolutionary advantage, or it's a disadvantage. It's not something that's really a natural. It's a problem. It's an anomaly that needs to be corrected, right? So I think that the urges to kill and continue killing and see that, I mean, it's not a survival skill, right? I think that's a problem. There's something wrong with your ticker. Whether it was natural or induced, I'm sure it's 50-50.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, that one always got me, because in Buddhism, the bad and good is always up for debate, but basically you want to progress towards being more compassionate and having a more joyous life, and just spreading compassion to those around you, and being of service to others. So if you're born a sociopath, like nobody did anything to you, you didn't get traumatized, you were just born without the ability to feel guilt. It makes it hard for me to think that that's that person's fault, It's like all of a sudden they're kind of just a product of the brain. And all the fucked up shit they did was because they didn't have the ability to feel bad about it, They can only look out for themselves.
Wow. Okay, so... Wow. That's pretty good.
Ultimately, the karma is a huge word that makes up everything we're experiencing, and we don't really understand why people get the hand that they've been dealt. But it is karma. There is some sort of perfect karmic pattern to it, is their explanation. So something about being a sociopath is what they need to grow. But I don't get it. It really makes no sense to me, because they're incapable of compassion.
Right, and if you're incapable of compassion, then how are you going to grow?
Yeah, you've been dealt a real shitty hand.
Whoa, so what do you become reincarnated as after living as a sociopathic human?
According to, see, when I talk about Buddhist philosophy, everybody, I don't really know much anything. Please take it with a grain of salt. I mostly know from being around people who knew what they were talking about. So I tried to drink it in through my stoner mind, and some of it stuck, some of it I jumble up the words. But the reincarnation process, if you accumulate more bad karma, you're going to go down on the scale. And they look at like animal lifetimes as something more negative. You might get reincarnated as an ox or something that some farmer just fucking whips every day, and like, it does sound like a rougher life than being a human. But part of me questions that. Like, I think a cat's lifetime is probably pretty good, even if you get spayed up. If you just get food and water all day, and you get to just sort of chill and do whatever you want. Everyone rubs you whenever they're near you. It sounds like a heaven realm. And who's to say that, they say cats have the urge to kill and they can't help it, and that makes them lesser than humans because we have stronger amounts of compassion. That makes sense to me, but what if cats are so in tune with the higher spiritual realms that they know when an animal needs to be liberated, and they keep a perfect equilibrium in nature because of that?
Right. They're just doing a service. Dude, there's a million ways we could go with this one. That's great. Okay. So, alright, so karmically, we don't know where he's going to end up necessarily. And we're also karmically confused about the statuses of the different, what are they, dharmas?
Dharma means just your path, basically. Okay. I'm sure there's a better definition, but that's my understanding, is your spiritual path, your practice, your dharma.
Okay. So, yeah, so this reminds me a whole lot. I totally forgot where we were going with that, because it totally makes me think of, okay, is that the life of a cat better? Like the urge to kill. Okay, first of all, the cat's urge to kill. Does that make it really less less compassionate? I mean, I've seen this video where a leopard kills a baboon and is about to gorge on it and realizes that there is a baby baboon suckling. And it all of a sudden becomes totally, completely uninterested in the meal and starts licking and cleaning the baby.
Oh, wow.
And then picks it up by the scruff of its neck and carries it up into a tree. This is where it would have brought its own young for safety.
Right.
And was trying to offer it its teat. Brah. Okay? So...
Man, would that fuck it up because it's getting like the wrong type of milk?
Well, I'm sure it's not the best, but it's better than nothing. Like,
right, it's kind of like formula. It's like, yeah, we have an alternative.
Yeah, if your baby is not allergic to milk, you could give it milk fairly early. They say don't risk it because, you know, if you start too early, it's too hard to save them from anaphylaxis. But yeah, it's the same principle.
That's fucking wild.
So yeah, compassion exists among animals.
Right.
But they also...
Well, there's an argument for nature there, though, because all, like, our babies and all, like, baby things in general, it seems like, have faces designed to make you want to, like, protect it. You're like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, sweet little daddy, you know, like, it looks like it can't protect itself, and you want to, like, nurture it and take care of it, and,
yeah,
you know.
Particularly mammals.
Dude, if I got a baby bear, I would totally raise that shit.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
Raise the fuck up. I'd ride it to work.
So then obviously your intent, if you come across this baby bear, your intent is good. This bear has no parent, and out there on its own would likely not survive. So I'm going to take it in, I'm going to raise it, I'm going to feed it, I'm going to bathe it, I'm going to love it, give it, you know, unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
And
then it'll maul my enemies.
Right. I'll get it a spiked collar, a fucking laser beam on its shoulder and shit. And listen to fucking punk rock music. And I'll feed him fucking raw steak every day. Okay, but your intentions are good, right?
Right.
So,
right.
But this bear's entire habits change, right? And more or less like voluntarily or something, okay, right? And so it doesn't really migrate, it stays with you, right?
For sure.
Because of this, it doesn't really do other, like, bear-type stuff. And it's more or less by choice. You never told it to stay. Like, when it was free, it's free to walk off whenever it wants to. But it's more or less dependent on you at this point, right?
For sure.
And so then neighbor comes along. He's like, hey, dude, we're moving in next door. We have kids. This bear thing, you know. My wife sent me over here. She's all thinks your bear is gonna eat my kid, and I'm like, between me and you, know, I'm just kidding. You know, we gotta do something about this bear, man. Put up a fence. You're like, all right, cool, but you know, what would you name your bear?
The first name that came to mind was Barry.
Okay, Barry.
Barry the bear.
We gotta put up this fence.
I'd probably, like, I don't think there'd be much problems if I dressed him up proper. Like, if I give him
a little cap,
like a sparkly bow tie and maybe a party hat, and you teach him to ride a unicycle, nobody's gonna be threatened by that bear.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you know, not the pit bull, it's the pit bull's owner, dude.
He's way too focused on juggling to bother me.
Okay, so you put up your fence, right? And now Barry, all of a sudden, he doesn't have the choice. And that's it.
Right, Barry has now lost his freedom.
Right.
He is in servitude to you as your pet.
How?
And I suppose the same thing is sort of true for cats, because cats have like that animalistic nature. If I threw house cats out in the wild, I think they'd do all right for themselves.
So, for instance, my buddy is having an issue with his I'm saying that all wrong. My buddy has a girlfriend who had a cat who she let out to go explore, which, okay, got.
Mm-hmm.
They think it got by, it could be a bobcat, possibly an owl, whatever. Okay. They're sad, they're heartbroken. I'm very sorry for their loss. I know pets can be like a part of your family, and that's terrible. But they're, the people, I guess, when they were out shopping for a new cat or whatever, told them, yeah, you're not supposed to, that's cruel. You have a house cat. How would you let it go out into the wild where they have javelinas and coyotes and rattlesnakes? I mean, all these things that could take it out. Why would you let it out there? And I'm thinking, okay, I am a human being. I started off as a caveman, able to survive in the wilderness, hunting and killing, doing some rugged ass shit. But now I've been raised, my generation of this species is domesticated. We are house cavemen. We are housemen, right?
Totally.
So we cannot survive out in the cave. But we like to go adventure out there. We like to go camping, right?
We like to do a lot of things that involve risk.
And
Specifically involve risk.
Yeah, like skydiving and shit.
Yeah.
Now imagine, no, you're not allowed to go camping or skydiving, no bungee jumping.
Right, because that could kill you, and it'd be cruelty to let you go do that.
Right, and you stay in the. And that's how I feel about the cat. Like, no. That cat made a fucking choice.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't really know what he was getting into, I'm sure. I get it. He didn't, like, sign up for the draft. He just...
I'm sure cats know on some level.
Because he's probably out there he's out there hunting.
Right.
So
Totally.
I'm sure he saw some, oh shit, and ran away from things a bunch of times knowing.
Right. I'm not the biggest thing out here.
Okay, so he knew what he was getting into.
Totally.
Okay, so, all right, so then my next question is, I was talking to these ladies at work about horses, and the topic of horse breeding comes up, okay? And so something has always, the thing has always...
Sorry, it's red wet. Is this Justin? It's Justin St. John! Dude.
Three-piece suit and gold grills. I'm down with that, dude. Ruby diamonds in his fucking fingers and shit. I'm so down with that. With a monocle.
Then people want to build a fence around the bear. They would just want to,
Can he come over for dinner?
Yeah.
I'll bring him over. No, just the bear. The bear's invited.
Right. That is one cool bear.
Yeah. You look kind of douche, really. I mean, bear. Who enslaves a bear? So they're talking about these horses, and okay, I've always thought, what, like a majestic creature, and you just like stay behind these electrified fences and let little fat girls at the fair ride you around for a few minutes and shit, or whatever. Let people get on you and spur you and do your stuff. And then I watched this documentary a long time ago about these horses, these wild horses that this lady, followed for like 10 years. And they're amazing. They're incredible beasts. And that made me hate the fact even more that you just let people put this, and then turn this way, turn this way. What the fuck? Really? I would be bucking the shit out of everybody, dude. I would be going nuts, dude. Ah, man. Come over, trying to take my nuts off. I'd be kicking somebody in the... Dude, man. Dude. So anyway, so they get to talking about the way that horse breeding happens. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm told that it's like $1,500 for like a straw, and I guess it's not much, like not very big, not much bigger than like a marker, a straw of horse semen. $1,500 is cheap. It could go up to like $10,000.
Jesus.
Then you have to either insert it yourself or pay to have the vet insert it. You typically want to pay a professional, okay? And they have to insert it, and then there's no guarantee it works, okay? So if your horse in America and I guess many parts of Europe, the most expensive horses are racing horses, and racing horses that have a lot of victories, they have won a lot of money, and B, they have sired a lot of winning horses. So if you win a lot, then you will be allowed to stud out when you retire. Or even when you're still racing, you're allowed to stud out.
Right.
And then they keep track of your bloodline, your heirs, and if they win a lot, then your sperm increases in value.
Wow.
If they sire and they win a lot, your sperm goes up in even more in value. Okay? So like $1 million horse could be like $10,000 for a little opportunity.
Right.
Okay. So when I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, you're worth $1 million and people are selling your sperm, like gold bullion. And I don't even get to have any of the fun. Like, you're taking it from me and going over here and giving it to them. What the fuck am I getting out of this, dude? Like, I'm out here running these races.
Right, bring her over here. Let's cut out the middleman.
And so then they're like, okay, well, yeah. And so how do they do this? I want to know. It's like, okay, so they have a little frame with some padding on it. Okay. That's it. A little frame with some padding. And there's like a space, a wide open space where the cock sticks, I guess. And they have a hot looking mare up front. Okay. Tantalizing him with her pheromones. She's in heat. She's wanting it. He smells it, wants to give it to her, climbs up on this this little frame, and does his business. Because it was at work, and these were ladies, and I was, I'm not gonna like cross any lines. I'm trying very cool, like, to be very, PC. I want to know, is somebody jacking this thing off? Like, what? If he's sticking through this pad, how are they catching it in a bucket? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there like a giant fifi that somebody's using? Or is it like, hey, he's like squirting in this thing and there's just a hole and it all comes dribbling out? Or like, how does, I didn't really get the answer, but they made it sound like the pure smell of pheromones alone is enough to make him ejaculate. Like, he doesn't need to be stroked. If anybody knows the answer, please let me know, because I'm dying to know. Who, like, what, first year vet, right? Hey, welcome to the practice. Guess what we're doing today? We're extracting horse semen. Yes, that's right. That means I'm going to be back here talking to the farmer, and you're going to be up there jacking off a horse into this bucket. Right. Here are your gloves, right? How fucked up that the horse is like, oh, this is it. Pussy! And no, you're getting metal bar, bucket, right? Pretty fucked up. Saw, dude. I don't like that. Anyway, so I started asking him, that sounds like a pretty raw deal. He's out there running all these races, right? And he's probably got this strict ass diet and shit, he's got to work out all the time, and then he doesn't even get like the ultimate prize. Like, why does any man go to work, man? To get laid. That's what we're doing. Like, that's what it's all about, right? So they're like, oh, these horses are treated. They're pampered. They're treated like royalty, and like, they're treated so well. And I would love to be treated like one of these horses. Oh, really?
Yeah, I would probably be pretty frustrated. But at the same time, I'd probably still fuck the plastic frame every time.
Yeah, of course,
like,
dude.
It's the best part of your day.
Right. This is the prize. I get to look at that, and
I think the way they catch the semen is on a porn star's face. It's the only way to catch semen. They just scrape it right off into a straw. But no, another porn star has the straw. So is that too far? Did I?
Well, I mean, you know, that's definitely how they do it in Lithuania. I mean, for sure.
Lithuania?
Lithuania? I don't know, for some reason, when I think of a place that, you know, people engage in farm practices, I would think.
That, like, all of it, that's the Silicon Valley of horses.
Right!
Lithuania.
Oh, shit, yeah. So, I don't know. One thing I do know is that I worked for a minute as a maintenance man at an apartment complex. And, you know, there's a 35-pound size limit for dogs on the lease. Now, I don't know how big this pit bull was, or actually it was pretty tall. I thought it was an American Staffordshire Terrier. Look it up. Either way, this family would go out, you know, some days it would be locked out on the balcony, which is much smaller than this room. Other days, I'm sure it was locked inside the house or the apartment. At any rate, that dog was more or less in prison until you take that dog to the park and let him open up and run around, which if you're working and your kids are in school, you're taking them to the park once a week. Could you imagine being locked in? If I was locked in here and it was only allowed out to go for a walk for an hour at the park every Saturday.
Right.
I would shit on the carpet for fun.
Man, the dog's lives are a complicated one, because if we just didn't breed them at all and they weren't like our hunting companions, they'd probably just be wolves and they'd be perfectly fine never being our pets. So that, in some way, that crosses my mind. It does seem kind of cruel, but at this point, the dogs just seem so happy. They seem so happy in every situation.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you're inbred, I'm sure it's hard to be pissed off about anything.
Oh man, but the smiles that dogs have, it's like it stretches across their whole face, and you can just see happiness exuding off of them. It doesn't feel like we're torturing them by having them as pets, but they're too ignorant to know.
When someone asks the guy that works for that does the horses, "What do you do for a living?" "I jack off horses." But you guys say it with dignity. "I jack off horses." What would the name for that be? Like, there's got to be a name.
A horse handyman.
You're like, there's got to be. So I was gonna say Manolingus. No. Manualatio. I don't know, dude. Like manual, right? Who knows? Who knows, dude?
They probably call themselves a breeder.
A breeder, yeah.
Ooh, manual laborer.
Manual word. That's from Cody. 1 point. 1 point to the peanut gallery.
Is there a manual for this labor?
So, nah, kid, you're doing that all wrong. Let me get down there. I'd get down there and show you, but you know, my arthritis and shit. You're just gonna have to figure it out.
Page 4 of the manual.
Oh, we're gonna be here all day. This kid's got zero technique. Well, don't stand in front of it, you jackass. That's how you. See, now you're covered in goo, wasting a bucket of semen, and it's all over you.
Forced to grab the porn star. Right in front of you at the right moment.
Yeah, dude. I mean, shit, man. All right, man. Well, if that doesn't work, you're going to have to stick your hand in the butthole and go for the prostate.
Oh, God.
You could wear the glove, but the horse prefers little unwrapped candy bars. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Did you ever try to eat a sandwich from Subway without taking the paper off? It's awful. Trust me. Trust me.
Well,
Yeah, there you go.
So, we've definitely shifted from the topic of unconditional love to... although I suppose whoever is jacking off horses definitely is a practitioner of unconditional love.
Oh, yeah, dude. And whoever loves that man or woman, like, at the end of the day, when they go home and kiss their kids, do you tell your kids that's what you do for... My dad works on a ranch and he jacks off horses.
I think that would be great when it comes time to give them the talk at puberty, the sex talk. You don't have to say anything. You're just like, you're coming with me to work today.
Awesome.
That won't fuck them up at all, I'm sure.
So then, okay. So I don't know all this talk about the birds and the bees, son. But I know horses. You're coming with me, all right? And so then they sees it. All right, you see, and you see. All right, and you see. And so then the kid grows up. Because he has to work on the farm, he misses sex ed at school, right? So he grows up without that conversation. So then he gets a lady. They get married and stuff, and she's like, hey. They're doing it the old-fashioned way, like, they're doing it regular as they're consummating their marriage and stuff, right? Because it just feels right. But then she's like, hey, I want to have kids. And he's like, bend over.
All right, get a straw.
Which is pretty much...
it's like a fish.
That's pretty much how spiders do it. Male spiders. I
didn't know that.
They use their pedipalps, so... Many arachnids actually use their pedipalps this way. Males of both sophaguids and spiders always have larger pedipalps, and the reason being they will use them to pick up sperm packets, which are referred to as spermatophore, and they will insert them into the genital openings of the females.
Man, you know a lot about spiders.
Dude, man. If it can have sex, I like to learn about it. I do like spiders. When I was a kid, like tiny, I was afraid of them, man. And so I read a bunch of books from the library trying to figure out how to destroy them. Only to find out that they're fucking rad, bro. And they're like so harmless. I mean, there's been less than, I think it's less than 20 people in the U.S. have ever died from a black widow bite.
For sure.
Like 400 years, that's a whole lot of people.
I've known a decent amount of people to get bit and just go to the hospital. They don't. Yeah. I don't hear of any deaths.
Yeah, you have to be, sick already, very old, or very young.
For sure.
Whatever. And I like them. I love the fact that even though they still creep me out, I still catch them, living ones like, ooh, it takes a minute to work up the nerve to mess with them. Other times I don't get that hesitation.
My roommate had a pet tarantula, and I rubbed its back. That was the closest I've come to purposefully touching a spider. She would let it crawl up on her arm and shit. I know it can't hurt me, but I just can't do it, man. It's just too fucking creepy.
I get it, man. When they do it, I get that whole...
Yeah, it's just the way they move. And God made some crazy little looking thing. It looks like an alien.
Yeah,
it really does.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Yeah, especially tarantulas. They're big and hairy. Those are mygalomorphs. You guys want to learn some shit about spiders? Mygalomorphs. They're primitive spiders. They're the oldest family. There's mygalomorphs and aranaeomorphs, which I could be pronouncing both of those wrong. I'm not Latin. Not Latino either. I just don't get that. Latino, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, mygalomorphs. They're slow. They're bulky. They don't like to travel very far if they can avoid it. They don't really spin webs. They'll make tunnels, tunnel-like webs. They'll dig a tunnel and then line it with webbing, or like a purse spider will actually spin a tunnel that's covered with leaves and stuff, and but they don't do orbs or cobwebs or anything like that. They'll have trip lines to try to mostly signaling. Their webs aren't really for catching, except the purse spider. Yeah, dude, they're badass. Yeah.
I heard in Africa giant dinner plate sized spiders will like steal holes from other animals and like draw a bunch of webbing outside of their burrow, and they'll eat like fucking snakes and shit.
Dang. So, I'm not too sure. I would want to do some research about those. So the large dinner plate varieties are found in Australia. You have harvest huntsman spiders that can be like their leg span can be about 13 inches, huge. In South America, you'll have Goliath bird-eating spiders, which
oh my God. Jesus
they're
Christ.
about 11 inches in leg span, but they are the heaviest spider in the world. They're massive, and I forget how big they are. But so
you don't kill it with a flip flop.
no, dude, no. They're gonna. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be terrifying. That would creep me out to see one of those. Huntsmans, would be more aggressive. They're in the Araneomorph family, which means they have sac lungs instead of book lungs. Having sac lungs is a much more efficient way to breathe. We have sac lungs,
For sure.
so it allows them to run faster, so they can be more aggressive. They're also more agile, and the way that their jaws are shaped, they're able to be more aggressive without exposing their soft parts. Their jaws bite forward and open sideways, whereas tarantulas, mygalomorphs, bite downwards and just up and down. You know what I'm saying? So they have to expose themselves. That being said, huntsmen would be more aggressive, but they still probably... I mean, they still would rather get away. All spiders would just rather get away.
Right.
You know? So,
would you eat one?
Yeah, I totally would, dude. Fucking yeah. When I see those, I believe it's in South America where they're eating the spiders, and I think there's parts of Africa where they get the spiders too. It looks a lot like crab meat to me.
That's kind of what I imagine. I mean, crabs and lobsters are just water bugs.
Yeah. Did you know at one point, like when lobsters for a long time were considered poor people food?
Really?
Yeah, dude, until like the 20s or something. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were like basically, who's gonna eat these underwater cockroaches? Everybody.
Right. Yeah, this is the perfect vehicle for butter. What else do you need?
This is why butter was invented, actually. Hell yeah, dude.
Well, we should probably wrap it up. I think delicious lobster is a good way to end the podcast. I got to get ready for my hot yoga class.
Damn, I forgot to sign up. Wait, it's probably too late, and I'm hungry.
It might be. You know, you could try. Regardless.
Regardless.
Much love.
Peace out.